He has 30 years of experience in the industry, managing one of the most profitable and largest funds in the country. He has also received numerous awards for this function. He is also the founding president of the FMAP, or the Fund Managers Association of the Philippines, the institution that manages over 4.5 trillion pesos worth of liquidity. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand to Mr. Marvin Fausto.
Thank you, Ed. And good morning to all of you. Hi. You've already heard what June Trinidad said about the economy. And I think it's one very comprehensive way of telling you what's happening, not just over the short term, but also over the long term. And my talk is not going to be as comprehensive. I really intended to say something, very few slides, and just a very few ideas that you might want to consider. I guess with this growth that June is trying to say, these reforms that's going to happen, the question in our mind is really what we're supposed to talk about today. How are we going to ride this growth? That is really the question. What are we supposed to do? And thinking about this presentation, I said that we all have 24 hours a day. It's a very limited time. And maybe we have a few years, but that's also limited. And the key to participate in this growth is to really maximize that limited time in terms of your efforts, in terms of your investments, in terms of your ability to do whatever you do now, and allocate that resource in the best possible way. Some of you are businessmen, entrepreneurs. You have your own stores. Some of you work in companies, or you're a professional, a doctor, a teacher, architect, engineer, whatever you do. It is very important to understand and to realize that this limited time, this limited resource, we just have to maximize it and use it in the best way we can to benefit not just ourselves, but also the people we serve, the people you sell to, the people you care for. And I guess my view in trying to really ride this growth is really to use that time more efficiently. And studying the stock market for the past 30 years, we've seen that the stock market really goes with the economy. It has been proven. Like in the time of the Cory administration, the stock market did 43%. Even if we really not having a lot of problems, there are a lot of coup attempts. The economy did about 3.8%. In the Ramos administration that June was talking about, the reforms that he instituted, and even if we had 8-hour brownouts during that time, the stock market did a decent 10%. For ERAP administration, we had two problems, two major crises that we experienced, the Asian financial crisis and the political crisis that affected the growth of our economy. The stock market fell. But soon after that, the two terms of the Arroyo administration, the stock market recovered with the economy. In fact, in the second term, the stock market did about 12.4% compounded annual growth rate. And because of that fiscal reforms that started through the administrations and continued in the Aquino administration in terms of improving the revenues of the government, we, for the first time, got our investment grade rating in 2013. And that helped the economy grow. At 6.1%, our stock market also did very well at a decent 14.3%. So really, there is really a correlation, simply because the companies that participate in this economy are the basic same companies that will benefit in that growth. In fact, for the past 30 years, our GDP averaged about 4.4%. And the stock market did a decent 9.6% on average, an 88% correlation. That actually means that it moves on the same way, statistically speaking. Naturally, when the economy grows, the companies that participate in that economy, earnings also grows. And with earnings, as the number one determinant of stock prices, stock market grows. That's how it works. And using, conservatively, the 9.6% that we experienced for the past 30 years as a barometer of how we think probably the stock market will grow maybe by 2020, the COL house view is looking at 9.6% as an estimate, conservatively, and use that figure to grow for the next 10 years from where we are today of 7,800. Just add 9.6%, 9.6%, 9.6%. In the third year, it is not hard to believe that the stock market can really grow to a level of 10,000 in the index. That's the projection of April, and I think this is even conservative because what we used here is the past 30 years growth. And if the reforms really happen by next year, and we grow to what June is trying to say, about 7 to 8%, much stronger than what we did in the past. And 9.6% is even conservative. But of course, it's not going to go there on the straight line. I mean, stock market goes up and down. That's how it really works. And we're not guaranteed it's going to go to 10,000. But I'm trying to say is that it is conservatively viewed that it can actually go there. So what are we going to ride? What stock are we going to buy in order to ride this market? What's the tip of the day? But before I say that, I think what I'd like to make you consider before you do that are three major things. Time to monitor, market experience, and enough capital for diversification. And the most important is time. In anything that we do, in your work, in your business, in order for you to succeed, you have to spend time. In anything, maybe in a relationship, in raising your children, anything, it's very important that you be attuned to everything in order to be successful. And these three things you have to really have in order to be successful in picking the right stocks. And what I'm trying to say is that doing what you do today, trying to concentrate on what you do in your work, in your job, in your business, the most efficient way in buying a stock is really buying a mutual fund. A mutual fund is actually a stock, but it's a stock that is answering the questions I initially in the previous slide. It actually is very simple and convenient, low maintenance, and is completely diversified. It is available in COL Fund Source. As you know that we launched the fund supermarket a couple of years ago. There are 26 mutual funds that you can choose from. And there is a fund manager that's actually doing it for you. And it's completely diversified. And choosing the type of mutual fund, in my mind, the most efficient and the most effective way is really looking at the equity index fund as part of your portfolio. That's the most efficient way, in my view. And no other than the greatest investor in the world, the richest guy, the richest investor, Warren Buffett said, a low-cost index fund is the most sensible equity investment for the great majority of investors. Because he believes that it's very hard to repeat what he did. It is very hard to be a Warren Buffett. And for the ordinary investor and for the majority of investors, the most efficient way to participate is really to buy the low-cost index fund. He said that his inheritance to his wife has to be invested 90% in a low-cost index fund. And the beauty of the index fund is really it has access to the largest and most traded companies in the country. It participates in the growth in the economy. It even has lower fees. And what's more, it already has the exposure of the 30 largest companies in the country. And that is a stock that you can bet on to ride the Philippine economy. It is already automatically invested there. You don't have to choose anymore. You can continue with your job, you can concentrate on what you do, and you just let this fund grow with the economy. And it also changes. Twice a year, it changes in terms of composition. For instance, in 2006, the biggest component of the stock market or the index is the PLDT. It comprised about 29% of the weight. Because back then, PLDT was the largest company. And 10 years later, it only now comprises about close to 5%. Before, SM was only 4%. Now it's the largest at 11%. So it changes because of the rules of the exchange. All the other components of this index fund also moves the way the economy moves. It goes in sync. You don't have to do anything. It automatically changes. It has to follow the rules of the index and the economy naturally. And it's like for example here, no? SM. In 2006, it was only 166. Recently, it's 789. PLDT went down, and that is why the index automatically changed. And that is a clear example of how it is in sync with the way things move. And the most important thing is that the index fund is the best performing. If you invested in an index fund for the past 5 years, you would have made a compounded annual growth rate of 9%. And year to date, it has grown to about 14.5%. But just by riding the index. And compared to all the other index funds, it even beats the equity funds that our professional managers manage. And that's not just true here in the country. That is also true in other countries of the world, particularly in the US, in Japan. The most popular, the most widely invested fund is an index fund. Because people, the way we try to do things is that we try to maximize our talents, our gifts, what we really do best. And sooner or later, we all know that this thing, what you do now, changes. You might want to do something else. You might want to sell your business, you might retire, or spend more time with your family, try to travel the world. When you continue working and it finally stops or ends, the cash or the earnings actually stops. And during this time, when you are still earning, and when this economy is growing and potentially can grow much faster, the most efficient way to ride it is really to maximize and allocate that resource in the best possible way you can. Concentrate on what you do well, but do not forget to diversify your efforts, diversify your portfolio in vehicles that has been proven to actually work. And I think that's the message that I want to give to all of you. Just concentrate on your work and diversify your portfolio. You will be able to ride this growth. Thank you very much.